And we're going to talk about an activity that we did today that focused on author's purpose. We know the goal of this was to find something that we had tested and we had some kind of scores to reflect why we chose author's purpose. So our third grade team is also our whole faculty study group, and so we gave an overview of a reading skills test. We tested 12 different skills, and we found that across the board all of our kids were really struggling with author's purpose. So we decided to try and find a way that we could increase their skills in that area. What we decided to do is there's three main types of author's purpose: to entertain, persuade, and to inform. And with 4 teachers, what we decided is that 3 of the teachers would each take one of those purposes, and then the 4th teacher would do a review activity. So one teacher focused on teaching the students about entertainment, one teacher focused on persuading, one teacher focused on informing, and then I did the review activities. So what the students did was we spent an hour and a half, and each class spent 30 minutes with the different teachers, and they rotated from classroom to classroom. So it helped us divide up the work. It also helped the kids be more actively engaged in learning, and they got a chance to be in another classroom and learn from another teacher. And so Crystal Barnes is going to talk for just a second about what she did with persuasion.
I chose persuasion, and I really like persuasion because I like advertising and business, and so I decided for us to do commercials. And so since it was close to Christmas time, I got them to do a commercial to persuade their parents to buy them a particular toy. And before we did that, we brainstormed, and the students told me all kinds of commercials that they had seen on TV. They talked about the ShamWow, and they talked about how sometimes they order stuff and then they get it home and it doesn't do what it says it's going to do. And so we talked about all those things about persuading, and so we discussed what would they do to persuade their parents into purchasing that toy. And so they talked about how they would say really, really nice things, and they would do chores to, try to get money, help them. I'll help you pay for it. So I knew they were coming up with good ways to persuade, and every student in my classroom made a commercial, and they found the toys. We went to the computer lab. It took us more than a couple of days, maybe like 2 days, and they all made PowerPoints, and we recorded their voice and everything. So the slides, and we tried to get it to work. We brought one, but I don't think we tried to link it, and since we got here, it works at school, but it won't do it here. So I did have a commercial, and what I did, I let them put the slides on the notes page where they put 3 slides. They only had to do 3 slides, and they had the lines on the side to write down what they were going to say when I got ready to record, so I wouldn't have to wait for them to go, So they all had 1 sentence for homework to write on the lines, and then the next day we started going to my computer in the back of the room, and it only took a few seconds to make it. And so we tried to get everybody's email address so they could email it to their parents to pull up at work and click on it, but some of them, I couldn't get all the email addresses, so we just did a few.
And then Patrick Craner did entertainment.
And what we did with entertainment was, at the time we were just finishing up Pecos Bill, the story in our reading book, and I actually had my class acted out in a multi-purpose room, and we went over that. I had them each had a handout with their parts. But for this particular activity, I pulled up I think it's a Scholastic book of plays. It was a little bit different from the one in the book, but it had leveled parts. So even the kids who weren't very good at expressing or reading could still be involved. And what I did was, with each class, I gave him the different level parts, and we did just a real quick play up in front of the class. And the rest of the kids would, sit and watch, and when we talk about, how when they read different passages, especially on EOGs, how they can pick out entertainment passages from play parts when they actually have the title of the character. So that's what we did there.
Then Monica Wilson did informational.
say winter, so I picked a passage that had informational text about severe weather, and we began by meeting as a group and reading over each paragraph about tornadoes, hurricanes, blizzards, and thunderstorms, and just talking about all the facts that were given, and they really easily got that it was informational. That's obviously one of the easiest to identify when you're reading, and we reviewed all the author's purposes before this, so it was just easy to identify. Then after that, I read aloud several stories about winter and snow and weather, and they had to share out loud, you know, how they were able to identify whether it was to persuade or inform or entertain. And they caught on real quickly, and it was fun. They enjoyed it.
It's all snow.
Yeah.
That's why we got it.
Stop.
So we spent one day where all the students rotated from teacher to teacher learning about the 3 types. And then on the following day, we took all the students into the gym, and I did 2 review activities with the kids. The first one we did was a book relay, where I had gone to the library and gotten a huge stack of books, and we put the kids in different teams, and I would tell them the type of book that they needed to get. And then when I would blow my whistle, they would have to run down to the other side of the gym and pick up a book and come back. And they could earn points if they were, you know, the first team back with the correct type of book. And then after that, we did a multiple choice activity where they had cards and an A, B, C, or D, and they would work together in their groups and try and answer the multiple choice questions. So we're going to show you a short video clip of when we videotaped the kids doing the review activities.
The computer, I think, is muted. Yeah, there you go. I don't think it's on there, but there's usually a little shortcut. You want to turn it up a little?
Cover your ears, it might be loud.
I don't know about that.
question.
Would the A, to share a story about ice cream? B, to teach a person how to make a... We actually did 10 questions, but for sake of time, we shortened it here. We found that this activity was really engaging for the students and that they learned a lot and they were able to be actively involved in their learning process, and we found that it really increased their skills in author's purpose. And so we have a handout for you. It just gives a few little notes at the top, and then the slides that you saw in the PowerPoint that we presented today are on the front, and then on the back are 6 of the 10 sample questions that we did. So if you would want to repeat this with your class, there's at least 6 of the sample questions.